Hi everyone, it's Carissa at Sprinkled with Glitter, and I am here with a Valentine's card project for you today. I got some new stuff and I've been playing around with it, and you may have seen a little sneak peek on my Instagram earlier in the week. And I've done a little prep work because I just have a few minutes before I have to run off to a meeting at work. So I have a Nina Solar White card base here. This is a standard card, so this is 4.5 by 11 inches, and I folded it in half at 5.5 inches, and it makes the standard A2 size card. But what I'm going to do, I'm going to set some of this stuff aside, and I'm going to bring in my trimmer, and I'm just going to trim a 1/2 inch off of one side. So 1/2 inch right there. I'm just going to trim that off. So I have a little bit longer and narrower card here. So that would make it, let's see, 4 1/4 minus 1/2, 3 3/4, 3 3/4 by 5.5. So there you go. I hope my math was right on that. And I'm just going to grab a scratch piece of paper and I'm going to stamp it with this Hero Arts tweed background. And I'm going to bring in the Pool Party ink from Stampin' Up, and I'm just going to ink this tweed background stamp. And then I'm just going to take this card and lay it right on the background stamp. And I'll cover it with a piece of scratch paper, and I'll just rub all over the surface to make sure I get that ink transferred to my cardstock. I have that lovely background pattern there. And I can just set this aside because I'll be working on this in just a bit. And I'm going to bring in some of the stuff I need to, some of the elements. So I've cut this circle out of some more Nina Solar White cardstock with a Lifestyle Crafts nesting circle, and I am going to emboss it using this embossing folder from Lifestyle Crafts. So I'm just going to slide it in here. Let's see, and I can kind of plan what I want to show and what I don't want to show. So I think we'll put it right about there, and I'll just run it through my die cut machine. Okay, so I have that circle and I can set that aside, and I'm going to use the rest of this paper to punch out a couple of hearts from this paper here. Let's see, I can get one there. One there. So I have a couple hearts there, and I'm actually going to use these Hero Arts shadow inks to color these because I do not have the same color cardstock, and I'm using the Pale Tomato and the Soft Granite shadow ink, and I'll color each one of these, and I'm doing this at this point so that they can kind of dry before I put them on there. So I'm just going to take the ink pad and go straight to the cardstock with them. So now I have a gray one. And I love this Pale Tomato color. And you'll see it actually kind of changes colors a little bit when it fully dries. And set these aside. They're kind of dry to the touch, but they'll dry and smooth out over time. So I'll just set those to the side. And then I'm going to bring in another piece of Nina cardstock. And I'm going to bring in this Important Details stamp from Elle Studio. And I'll just mount that to my clear block. And I'm going to ink this up in the Soft Granite. I'll just stamp it down on the bottom of my cardstock. Okay, nice. And you can see it's a little splotchy right now. These are Hero Arts. The shadow inks kind of smooth out over time, and so I can go ahead and keep working. This is Pink Paisley Portfolio Clear Stamps. I believe that is the name of the stamp set itself, Portfolio. And some of these stamps are stamps that I bought to use with Project Life, but I wanted to find other ways to use them, and so I'm just kind of using them to make a card now. I have this little heart here from that stamp set, and I'm going to ink it up in the pale tomato ink. And I'm just going to stamp it right here. Didn't quite get a great image on that. I'm going to try to restamp over it. Lovely. I'm going to use this Kelly Perky Plain Jane alphabet to spell out U, and then I'm going to put 14 right there for the date, since it's Valentine's Day. These I'm actually going to do one at a time because I've kind of experimented, and it's easier for me to get them closer together if I mount them separately, and it doesn't take too long to do it since it's a short word. I'm going to bring in this charcoal, Hero Arch charcoal ink, and I'm just going to stamp out the word U here, and I'll kind of overlap it on that heart just a bit. There's the Y. And then for the date over here, I'm going to use the pale tomato again. And then I just feel like I want another heart over here, so I'm going to bring the Soft Granite Hero Arts Shadow ink back in. I just cleaned this, so I want to make sure I'm going to get a good impression here. And I'm going to ink it up with I'm going to ink up this heart again, and I'm just going to stamp it right over the top of that 14. So there we go. And then I can trim this out, so I'm just going to bring in my trimmer and trim this out. I stamped that crooked, I was able to get a nice straight line because I have that nice wire guide on my trimmer itself. So I am going to bring in now a piece of, I'm looking for it, I had it here, here it is. I'm going to bring in this piece of light gray cardstock, and I'm going to cut a banner end on this. So I'm just going to bring in my scissors, and I'm kind of an eyeballer, so I'll just eyeball about halfway, make a little tick mark, and then I can cut up to that line there. All right. And then I'm going to take this over. It's going to go on the front of my card. It's kind of going to layer over that circle that we have. So I'm going to kind of eyeball how long I want this and trim it off. And then I'm going to take it over to my sewing machine and just run a line of blue stitching down either side. I have the blue on my top stitching where the spool of thread is, but on the back I just go ahead and leave the white bobbin in because from the front you can't even tell the difference. So I'm going to start layering this card up, and it's going to go something like this. All right, and I think what I'll do is just create a nice little postage edge stamp border to put behind the little pennant that I have on the front. Bring in my sticky thumb adhesive, and this is kind of how I secure my threads on the back. I just kind of run the adhesive and just let that adhesive that's on the back kind of hold those in place. So I will just kind of stick those down. Okay, now I can trim this. And now that I have that piece kind of put together, I'll start putting my card all together, and I'll start with this circle here. Put plenty of adhesive on the back, and I'm going to let it hang over the end and then trim the end off. So let's put that right about there. This is going to go right over the top of that circle. I already had the adhesive on that. Okay, I'm going to grab some dimensional adhesive here and start placing some of these elements. I think I'm going to go ahead and place this important details tag down before I put the hearts in place. And if I just leave kind of this area without adhesive in the middle, I'll be able to slide those hearts underneath there. Okay, I have that. Put the little gray heart overlapping the pink heart, or the pale tomato heart. I'll just punch out a little heart here. Going to use one of these little tiny sticky thumb dimensionals to adhere that over the other two hearts. I grabbed a few at once, and then for just like one more little touch of blue, I'm going to bring in this Technique Tuesday. This is the Cute by Ellie Edwards. And I'm going to grab this I Love You stamp, and it really could have been any arrow stamp, but this just happens to be the one that's pointing in the right direction. So I'm going to just ink up the little arrow on this. I'll put it on my block here. And I'm going to bring in my Pool Party ink again. And it would have been best had I decided to do this before everything was all put together. And I'm just going to kind of stamp it right here. And there is my Valentine card for today, using lots of different stamp sets that I actually purchased for Project Life or having scrapbooking in mind. But I think it makes a really great male masculine Valentine. It does have a little pink, but for crying out loud, it's Valentine's. You're allowed to use it on a man card. So I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope you have a wonderful day. Thanks for watching.